In 2003, April 7th, 2003, the United States Supreme Court issued a ruling in a case called Virginia versus Black. Now, there were actually two cases before the Supreme Court at this time. They aggregated them into one, and it had to do with hate speech. Let me back up just a little bit. If you've just tuned in, over the last hour on our radio program, we've been talking about, first of all, it's the anniversary of the assassination of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. We will be, in our next hour, talking about that at some length with Lamar Waldron and with you, and I have some clips to play from that. The Republicans are up to their old tricks. We will get to that. And Paul Ryan, for example, on Fox, the congressman, the Tea Party congressman who's in charge of the budget committee, saying, oh, well, we'll essentially, when asked, do you think we should cut the $40 billion subsidy to the oil companies? I mean, this is literally money we give them over a 10-year period. He said, no, we're not going to talk about that. And Lee Fong from the Center for American Progress went to a Tea Party rally and asked a bunch of Tea Partiers, do you think we should cut the $40 billion we give the oil companies? And without, unanimously, you betcha. So, and Governor Nathan in Georgia now, he wants to raise taxes on people making less than I'm not making this up, I'm not kidding. April Fool's Day was last week. He wants to raise taxes on people making less than $20,000 a year, and he wants to cut taxes on people making more than $180,000 a year. Now, in this post-Citizens United era, this is just clearly a guy who knows who can contribute to his campaign. And that's what it's coming down to increasingly, tragically, all across America. I mean, the Republican Party led the charge. They're wholly sold out. And Nathan Deal is a Republican, of course, down in Georgia. But there are even a few Democrats jumping on this bandwagon. We talked about the nuke melting down at Daiichi. We are now seeing neutrons come flying out of this thing, as well as things like chlorine-38. Now, chlorine, if you look at the atomic table, is 37 on the atomic table. So chlorine-38 means that it has acquired an extra neutron in its nucleus. And the only way it can do that, first of all, the chlorine had to be there and chlorine shouldn't be in a nuclear reactor. So it probably came in with the seawater, or if they were pumping tap water in, there was chlorine in that, chlorine-37. But how did it acquire an extra neutron? There has to be a chain reaction. You have to have uranium breaking apart, fissioning, and in the process of breaking it apart, it turns into a couple of other elements like cesium and thorium, and it also blows off a couple of extra neutrons. And those extra neutrons then hit other uranium atoms that break apart, and they, producing the byproducts, and they then throw off some neutrons. Those neutrons hit and this is called a chain reaction. And if some of these neutrons that are flying around hit chlorine, and it acquires one, you got chlorine-38. Same thing with iodine-130, whatever it is, 2, I think it is, or 131. Although I believe that may be a direct breakdown byproduct of the fission of uranium. But when you see chlorine-38, you know you've got a problem. A, you've got a chain reaction that's still going on, and B, that the water surrounding it has been contaminated. 7 tons an hour of this contaminated water are being dumped into the Pacific Ocean. We are looking at the destruction of the world's biosphere. Destruction is too strong a word. We're looking at a significant damage to the world's biosphere. Now, on top of that, we invaded these two largely Muslim countries, Iraq and Afghanistan. And I say largely Muslim because in Iraq in particular, before we invaded, Saddam Hussein ran a secular government. There was a fairly substantial Jewish community in Baghdad, and a vibrant one. There was a large Christian community, and a vibrant one with several different forms of Christianity, from the Coptics, the Egyptian Christians, to good generic Protestants and Catholics and whatnot. All of these communities were coexisting with the Shia and the Sunni, who were coexisting, who in many cases had even intermarried. I mean, women could go to college under Saddam Hussein. You didn't want to mess with him. But it was sort of like, frankly, like the government of China right now. as long as you don't engage in politics, you can have a decent life. If you speak out against the government, if you get political, they will come down on you with an iron fist and you'll find yourself in jail, or in the case of Saddam Hussein's Iraq, being raped by one of his crazy sons or killed. But, even those were, relatively speaking, few and far between. So you had a secular nation that we invaded, although there were a lot of Muslims in that country. So we invaded these two countries, one 10 years ago, the other 9 years ago, or 8 years ago, and Afghanistan and Iraq, and now we're on the edge of Libya. And this pastor, Terry Jones, down in Florida, decides to just go off the edge. Here is clip number 3, rather, of Terry Jones down in Florida saying that he's going to hold a trial about whether or not the Quran is guilty.
International Judge the Quran Day. Yes, we are going to do it. The Quran, if found guilty, can be burned. But we challenge you. Try to defend the Quran.
Okay. So try to defend the Quran. And then he went ahead and had his trial, his kangaroo court trial. And guess what? The Quran was found guilty. Now, apparently this guy has not read the Bible. I recommend to him the book of Joshua. Or if he wants to strictly stay with the New Testament, the quote from Jesus that, I came not just bringing peace, but a sword. But to the point, he did burn the Quran, and pretty much nobody in America even knew about it. I had Terry Jones on my radio program back last year, in August of last year, when he was threatening to burn a Quran in New York City in front of the World Trade, 2 blocks in the World Trade Center, in front of where a group of people wanted to build a mosque. And this is my dialogue, or just a minute of my dialogue with him then. I want to know why you're so committed, Dr. Terry Jones, why you are so committed to doing the work of Osama bin Laden, who said before 9/11 that an attack like 9/11 was, in his mind, designed to create a war between Christianity and Islam. Why, sir, are you on Osama bin Laden's side, and why are you doing his work?
We feel that the Quran eventually leads to radical Islam. It eventually leads to Sharia law. We are sending a very clear message.
The message that you're sending is that you are a frightened coward who is doing Osama bin Laden's work, and exactly what he predicted, and exactly what he wanted.
If you look at Europe, you see the pattern. We see in Muslim-dominated countries, we see there no freedom, and we want to send a message to them.
Have you no respect, sir?
We think a radical message is necessary. We do not.
Have you no respect for our Constitution and our traditions in the United States?
Listens to conversations. Radical Islam only listens to actions.
Have you? Then what you should be doing is supporting a Muslim community center near, 2 blocks away, next to the strip joint on near Ground Zero. When was the last time that burning books really helped anything? The last big book burning I recall was in the 30s.
Well, I think you find book burning so even in the New Testament. You find it in
you find slavery in the New Testament.
After the
you find the ownership of women in the New Testament.
Well, we're not talking about that.
Well, I was a little hot under the collar that day. Anyhow, he went ahead and did it.